You're watching WCTV. We are sad to inform you that this is the final episode of The Buzz for the fall 2022 semester. I'm your host for today, Caleb Yauger, and I'm joined alongside people who are in a similar situation to me, and that is Brock Owens and Tony Grillo. The thing that we all have in common is that this is our very last episode of The Buzz ever. Which is pretty sad, but we're going to have a lot of things to discuss today, like Thanksgiving, a recap of our time with Thanksgiving and family and everything like that, plus Christmas, and then we're going to talk about our Waynesburg experience in general, so you definitely don't want to miss this episode. You're watching The Buzz. This is producer Caleb Yauger, and you are watching The Buzz. Thanksgiving is on the table here on The Buzz for our first segment of the afternoon here on WCTV. Brock, we're going to start with you. Thanksgiving, give us a recap. Did you have fun? Did you eat lots of good food?
Yeah, it was a good time. I've gone on the record, and both of you guys know this.
Yes, we do have to address this, by the way.
I've gone on the record multiple times on this show in the past and on the newscast a couple of weeks ago where I had said that I think Thanksgiving's pretty overrated. I think the food is pretty mediocre. I think turkey is below that. So, I mean, as far as the good food goes, I mean, it was solid. Like, it's not complain worthy. It's not bad food. I just think that it's hyped up a little bit to be like the greatest eating day of the year, and I think that's completely untrue. But I did have some good food. I've also got on the record saying green bean casserole is absolute fire, and it was. Twice. I had two different, both good. So I had some good food. I had some good times. I went to my grandma's like we normally do on Thanksgiving, and it was a good time. I saw a lot of my family there, so I had a pretty good Thanksgiving.
So is that a tradition every year you guys go to your grandparents' house? And
pretty much, yeah. Pretty much every year we go over there. It's hour and a half drive from where I live, so it's not too far. But yeah, we go over there pretty much every Thanksgiving.
All right, Tony, going over to you. Give us a recap of your Thanksgiving break. And do you think Thanksgiving food is overrated?
No, not really. I mean, it only comes once a year. You have to realize that.
Exactly.
And I mean, I did have some good food, mostly turkey, mashed potatoes. You can't go wrong with those two. Yeah. Like Brock, I also went over to my grandparents' house. Well, actually, first on the Thanksgiving day itself, I went to my grandma's house, my dad's mom. Then over the weekend, I went to my mother's parents' house. And I didn't see much of my family though, because one of my uncles was sick and he couldn't come. But we still had a fun time.
Mm-hmm. So Brock mentioned green bean casserole. What's your one food that sticks out to you during Thanksgiving?
Oh gosh, just one.
Well, it could be maybe two or three, depending on what you like.
Okay. I mean, I think I'm gonna go with pumpkin pie.
Pumpkin pie.
I mean, I know it's a general fall dessert, but you really can't go wrong with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for me, Thanksgiving, we always host Thanksgiving for our family, so everybody came over to our house on Thanksgiving night. We ate some really good food. I'm a big stuffing guy. Like, I think it's really, really good, especially mixed in with the mashed potatoes and gravy. Turkey, it's a part of Thanksgiving. It's not necessarily the greatest thing. I don't know if people agree or disagree with that, but, I like all of those things. Combined together, it all makes it worthwhile, but besides the food, we just had a great time. My family spent the night going into Black Friday. And, we also got a brand new couch, so that was the first time that we used it as a family and rearranging a lot of different things. So we just watched Christmas movies and getting ready for that holiday season. This brings up another good question. When should Christmas music start?
Well, to me, what I'm gonna say, this is kind of a fallback answer, I guess. You can come after me for that, but whenever you want to start listening to Christmas music, go ahead and do it. Like, I don't care. Personally, I'm not probably going to until a couple weeks before Christmas. Like it's December 2nd today. Is that what it is?
Yes. Yeah, it is.
So I'm probably not even going to start listening to Christmas music yet. A lot of people's answers are when November starts, which is those are the people that love Christmas. I like Christmas a lot. The Christmas music's okay. Other people will say after Thanksgiving. Other people will say at the start of December. And those are pretty much the main three answers, I would say. Mm-hmm. But for me, maybe 2 weeks before Christmas.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Tony?
Well, for me, I was actually talking with my friends about this last night. And we agreed, like, after Thanksgiving. And I mean, like, my birthday is very close to Thanksgiving and Christmas that whole season. So if I hear a song from Christmas on my birthday or, like, the day after, I'm like, I'm not going to bat an eye.
Mm-hmm. Well, here's the thing. I do have to admit, you mentioned that those are mainly the dates or the periods of time where people start listening to Christmas music. I have to add in one more for you. The exception is my mother, okay? If she's watching this, she knows exactly what's going to come out of my mouth next. She starts listening to Christmas music, I kid you not, October 1st.
October
1st.
Wow.
I do know people who do that, actually.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's... she loves Christmas music. I love it too, but just eventually, I'd say after Thanksgiving is when you really start to really get into it. Beforehand, a week or two before Thanksgiving, if you hear one here, one there, I think that's pretty acceptable. And then, it's getting you in the mood. But then, especially the weeks leading up to Christmas, are the times where you really listen to Christmas music. I want to go back to Thanksgiving. So, Brock, you're a big football fan. Did you watch any football?
I did. I was able to catch. There's 3 games Thanksgiving. I was able to catch the first 2, so I was very excited about that. And those were the games I wanted to see more than the night game anyway, really. So I was really excited. I got to see 2 of those games. Not really like 100% because, like I said, I was at my grandma's, so I was with family and all that other stuff too. But I was also watching some football, and I got to catch those games. Very exciting stuff for me.
The Lions losing on Thanksgiving is kind of a yearly tradition. I mean, it just happens. But that was a really good game between the Lions and the Bills. And I thought it was just, the Bills, they played a couple days earlier at, Ford Field. But seeing that and getting that for Thanksgiving was pretty special. But anyways, we're going to take a break from Thanksgiving, and we're going to talk about Christmas next. So don't go anywhere. You're watching The Buzz. Simply having a wonderful Christmas time. We're going to talk about Christmas next year on The Buzz. That was a little bit of Paul McCartney there. But Christmas time is here, and we got to talk about Christmas traditions for each of you guys. So, Tony, we're going to start with you. What does Christmas look like for the Grillo household?
Oh, well, you see, it's very interesting. So on Christmas Eve, my family always goes to church. Then after it, we have a really kind of funny tradition. For the past couple of years, we get pizza, and then we watch the Polar Express.
Polar Express. That is a great movie. It's so underrated. I love it. What about you, Brock?
Really?
We don't do anything too special. My household is my mom, my dad, myself, and then my 2 younger sisters. So we still kind of, have the whole, presents and wrapping and all that kind of stuff going on because my youngest sister is 12. So she's, still young enough that Christmas is still like a huge deal, that she loves getting the presents and all that kind of stuff. So that's cool. But really the one thing I would say is pretty much a tradition that we do is my mom makes this like breakfast casserole, and I'm not even 100% sure what it is. It's like eggs, sausage, something else. I don't even know. but it's really good. We eat it on Christmas morning every single year. It's delightful.
Can I have some of that?
It sounds good.
I would love to get you some of that.
Okay, that sounds really good.
For me too?
For my family, usually on Christmas Eve, everybody comes over and then we do presents from the extended family, and then usually in the evenings. So my sister and my brother-in-law, her husband, they're both musicians, so they have to work on Christmas Eve. They have to perform on Christmas Eve services because sometimes we will go to a Christmas Eve service. So this year we're going to be celebrating Christmas with the extended family and like early afternoon, so that gives time for them to get ready and then go to Christmas Eve service. But usually on Christmas Day, we usually have just the immediate family with us, and then we do presents with each other then. And then sometimes from Christmas onward, sometimes we have family over again with that nice big break between going back to school and during winter break. But it's time for our favorite Christmas songs. Brock, you got one in mind?
Well, one I'm just going to say off the top of my head is because just because you started with it. I love Wonderful Christmas Time. That's the one I put
read your mind.
second. I put 3 down
Okay.
just to kind of, and I think I ranked them on how much I like them. At least I tried to. That was second. The third one was Rockin' Around the Christmas Tree by Brenda Lee. So that's a good one. But then my number one, I'm going to preface this by saying I like old music. A lot of people that know me know that I like old music. And by old, I mean I'll go back to the 50s, and I very much like 50s music. So my favorite one is Chuck Berry's Run, Rudolph, Run.
That is a classic.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Absolute classic. Tony?
Oh my gosh, that is a hard question for me. Because I like a lot of it, but I think I'm going to go with We Wish You a Merry Christmas. I always remember singing that all the time when I was little, and it's just been kind of ingrained into my head every time this time of the year rolls around.
Is there a particular version of the song that you like?
I just
like in a general, no matter who does it.
Yeah, I also really like the Jingle Bell Rock.
Jingle Bell Rock,
that's good.
Bobby
Yeah.
Helms. That's the only one that I really, really like. But a couple of Christmas, artists that I like. Obviously, Kenny G. I love listening to Kenny G. Just very smooth jazz and everything like that. But one of my favorite Christmas songs is one that you usually hear on the radio. It's actually "Celebrate Me Home," Kenny Loggins. Have you guys heard that one?
I honestly don't know that I have.
If you listen to it, you
maybe
probably think it's at least familiar. You probably like, oh, I recognize that song.
Oh, it's one of those songs?
Yeah, they usually play it on like 94.5 or like 99.7 during this time of year. But Christmas movies now. Tony, you mentioned that you liked The Polar Express. Is that your favorite Christmas movie, or you got another one?
It is up there, but I wouldn't say it's my favorite. I think my favorite would have to be probably Home Alone.
That's
classic.
a good choice.
It's a good one. Yeah.
One or two?
Oh, they're both really good, but I'm going to go with one because it came first.
Yeah, and sometimes you see usually that the sequel is not as good as the first one in a lot of movie series, but this one, like Home Alone 2, was so good as well. Like you can't.
It was, yeah.
Can't argue that.
Even though it does feel kind of familiar, though.
It does feel familiar, but I think
But I don't think it's a bad thing, though.
having just those two is just the perfect amount. What about you, Brock?
Yeah, I agree. I really like Home Alone. That's up there. I'm also going to throw out Elf because I like that. I like Will Ferrell. So that's a really good one as well that I definitely have to put in the mix with Home Alone.
Are you
That's
a
a good one.
cotton-headed Ninny Muggins?
Oh, watch your language, Caleb.
Well, do you have a favorite quote from it?
I honestly can't think of anything off the top of my head right now.
Let me see. My favorite Christmas movies. I really like the Santa Claus series with Tim Allen.
that's good.
Oh, that's a
The
good
first one is one of my favorites. It's just a classic. The whole Santa falling off the roof
Yeah.
is just absolutely
yeah, that's
ridiculous. But it's just heartwarming, especially at the end. When he becomes Santa and he takes on this task of delivering presents to all the boys and girls of the world. But
Yeah, one
that's-
more.
Okay, go
Real
ahead.
quick. I just want to give a shout out to National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yes, a lot of
There you
people
go.
love that movie.
That one's on every year. Right before I came back to break, it was on like all day. The day before I came back, I'm like, there we go.
Actually, one more quick question. How do you guys feel about A Christmas Story being played for 24 hours, during Christmas?
A bit excessive, to be honest with you. I mean, it's a good movie, but 24 hours is a little excessive, do you not think?
Yeah, it is.
That's-
Eventually, yeah.
That's fair. I mean, it's tradition, but
Well, at least if you are busy, you can catch it at a certain time if you want to, but you can always just rent it anymore. But anyways, we're coming down to our final segment here in the fall 2022 semester. And the final segment for all of us, we're going to talk about our Waynesburg experiences next, right here on The Buzz.
You're watching WCTV, where we aim to bring you the best local coverage of what you care about most. Everything from local businesses to hometown sports and the latest weather. We're keeping up to date with what you need to know about issues that affect our campus and our community. We're telling the stories that matter, celebrating our past, our future, and our potential. So tune in for all the latest buzz right here on WCTV Channel 14, Waynesburg.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to talk about our experiences that we've had here at Waynesburg University. Brock, Tony, and I are graduating this December, and we only have, a week and a half of classes left.
Yeah, I mean, we only have next week. It's Friday right now as it stands, so we have 1 week of class, finals, we're out.
And then we're out.
We're done.
So it's time for a big reflection on our time here at Waynesburg University. Brock, we're going to start with you. Talk about your Waynesburg experience in general.
Wow. Well, I mean, that's...
Or should we go more specific first?
I can do that. I mean, if you want to do that. But yeah, that's a pretty big, loaded question, I guess. But honestly, if I had to just say, it was a great experience for a lot of reasons. Number one, a lot of the stuff that we've done up here in this studio here, a lot of great times happened in here. Just throughout, even just looking through this semester, we had the election night special, which was a really great time, and all the times talking sports in here. I mean, just a lot of great stuff that's happened in here for our live sports productions, and I've met a lot of great people, you two included. So it's been a tremendous time for me here at Waynesburg.
Tony?
Yeah, my whole experience at Waynesburg, or just with the comm department?
We'll go whole experience.
Oh my gosh.
Laying it all out on the line.
I mean, this experience wasn't completely what I was expecting, but I think that's what makes it better to me. All the changes, the bumps in the road, were really made it worth it. Like Brock said, I've made a lot of great friends, you two included. This whole department I love with all my heart. And I wish nothing but the best for them going forward after this. I've helped out with so many productions, and I felt honored to be a part of all of them, including the election night coverage. Even though I didn't do much, I was happy to be there. And hosting shows like Nerd Alert, The Buzz right now. Even helping with the stuff back in the control room, because I was always terrified to do that stuff. When I started doing it, I'm like, I love this. And what do you know? I didn't burn down the whole school like I thought I would.
No, you did. You did not, Tony. You did a great job with everything. And you took the words right out of my mouth when you said it wasn't perfect. I mean, by no means was it. It was filled with a lot of ups and downs. Really, really great times. Some okay times and some pretty bad times. I made a lot of mistakes over my time here, but that's kind of what this experience is about, just learning from those mistakes and growing and seeing where I am today versus where I was yesterday, 2 years ago, during the pandemic, or at my very first day on campus as a freshman here at Waynesburg University. The change, I'm just really proud of not only my growth, but the growth of all these individuals that I met here, not just at Waynesburg University in general, but within the communication department. Favorite memory class that you had here at Waynesburg?
All right, so it was very difficult for me to pick a memory. So I wanted to just tell a story. You're on with me, so we're going to go back to our first semester here at Waynesburg, Caleb, and I don't know if you know where I'm going with this, but you just might.
I think I do.
You just might. And Tony, I don't know if you've heard this. So it was close to the end of our first semester here at Waynesburg, and we were still freshmen, so we were doing the freshman plead your case show.
I knew it. I know where he's going with this.
So it was us two, along with Jeremiah Miller and Joe Vinzel. So we all come up to the studio, and we're just about ready to film. We're we're doing our run through, We're testing the mics and all that stuff. And then we realize that Caleb is blended into the background because he wore a green shirt up here to the studio in front of the green screens. So he had to run back down to his room, and I give Caleb credit because he couldn't have taken more than 3-4 minutes to be back up here in the studio, and it takes like 2 minutes to get down to the room in Thayer. So I don't know how you did that, but that's just a great story that I've always remembered.
See, I will never forget. I was standing up here so confused. I was like, why is my torso the same color, the same background as blue? I'm not wearing blue. And then I go, oh, wait a minute. I did that. I wore a green shirt. It was like, I wanted to be Christmas themed. I think I had a Christmas tie or something. Or, I think I was just wearing green in general when I was like, why does it look like that? But then I put 2 and 2 together. So from that point onward, I didn't wear any green. Just saying that. Tony, favorite memory?
Oh my gosh, just one. I mean, you know what? I have one that's actually kind of minor, but looking back on it, it's huge. It was when I was first starting here at Waynesburg, and I ran into Professor Krause in the hallway, and he asked me, like, hey, do you know who I am? I'm like, yeah, I know you. You're Professor Krause. I met you at Lanny's sports announcer camp a couple years ago. And he asked me, like, do you think you made the right choice? And I said, yes. And I've honestly, even though what I just said, my college experience hasn't been perfect, but if you asked me that again today, I would say yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I mean, hosting my first show, Nerd Alert, a couple years back was pretty fun.
I can imagine. That's awesome. Yeah, if you get to host a show, it's a really cool time. But one of my favorite memories, I have a couple here, but obviously the election night special that we did this year was just really, really memorable because it was 2.5 hours of live coverage. We were just scrambling in and out of the studio, and it was going really, really fast, getting results left and right. Prompters going crazy. But looking back on it, everybody was super, super proud of what we did, and I think we put together a really, really good production of that. And we also, for the last Waynesburg University Sports Network production of football, we did like a college game day sort of thing, where at the time it was absolutely miserable because we were sitting out there in the cold, cold rain. It was me, Jeremiah Miller, Cal Kildellis eventually joined the show, and then Carter Newcomb. We were sitting there making our picks, and my piece of paper is just wet. My jacket is wet. My hair is drenched. I am cold. I'm wearing gloves. I'm shivering and just freezing. And I remember talking to Jeremiah, and I literally said, we're going to really remember this. This is a memory that's going to be in my mind for all time, and it still is, and I knew it was going to be like that. And another memory that I have, it's kind of more drawn out, not very specific, is walking around this campus is really special because a lot of times when I would walk to the cafeteria or a class or just going to get something, a lot of times I would say hi to at least one person. And that really says something because this campus is a little smaller than most, but you've developed relationships, and having those close-knit relationships and friendships with people and the ability to say hi to a lot of different people on campus just shows the kind of spirit we have here at Waynesburg University. Now it's time to talk about someone, a professor or a friend or maybe a friend group, people, let's say, that made an impact in your life here at Waynesburg.
Well, there's too many to just say one. Of course, I want to give a shout out to my family, my parents, who really have been encouraging throughout my time here. And then people here, a lot of my friends that I've worked with have been great. And as far as professors, Lanny, Melinda, and Professor Krause as well have all had a huge impact on me in my time here. I credit them all for the growth that I've had, and I'm very thankful for so many people that I've met here.
Tony?
Yeah, I would say something similar to Brock, like my family, who has always helped me through these times, because I've had some struggles in the past, and I remember calling them saying like, oh, this is so hard, but I'm not going to give up. And they told me that's good, and that's a good quality to have going forward. Like my grandparents will always send me a care package every semester, so it's always fun to have. And like I've made so many new friends in like in my first week here at Waynesburg, I felt like I met someone new every day. I was like, that's incredible to me. Because I came from a smaller high school, so I would say like Waynesburg's smaller, but I'm like, not to me, it's huge. Yeah, and going off with professors, I would say Lanny has been a big influence to me because, well, I had only had one class with him, but I had the sports announcing camp with him. And over the years, we stayed in contact. We always talked. I remember when I texted him, like, I got accepted to Waynesburg. He called me the next day and said, like, Anthony, you made my day. Yeah, he's always been a big inspiration to me. Even in the one class I had with him, he really helped me a lot. And the experiences I had with him feel like they could really play out in my career going forward. Mm-hmm. I also want to give a shout out to Melinda. She's great. I love her so much. And I'm even gonna give Dr. Sherman a little shout out too.
Mm. All right.
Oh, absolutely.
And Professor Krause.
He's no longer with us, but Dr. Sherman's legacy.
He's not dead.
He's not dead yet. Okay, that was a valid way of word. He's no longer with us here at Waynesburg. He is teaching.
My bad.
Yeah, he's teaching somewhere else. But anyways, I think all of the professors here in the comm department, I really have to give a big shout out to because, at times you are pushed, and at times, the criticism. Well, constructive criticism, and sometimes that was bad. You can do a lot better than that. And sometimes you didn't want to hear it, but it's something that you definitely needed to hear. And just having them believe in you, and if you work hard, they will help support you along the way and give you advice and guide you to different directions and all these connections and everything, but not just becoming a better broadcaster or a journalist or everything like that. It's also becoming a better human being and how to be kind and respectful, have that professionalism, but also being genuine to other people no matter where you go, no matter who you meet. All right, the final thing that we're going to talk about, if you had been given one piece of advice before you entered college, what would you have wished it to be?
I mean, my advice isn't exactly profound or anything, but what I will say is just basically two things. Number one, do your best, seriously your best. Like, give everything you have to your experience. And two, while you're doing that, try and enjoy it as much as you can because it's gonna be gone pretty fast, as most things tend to be. So just enjoy it, have some fun, and you'll be fine.
All right, Tony, piece of advice.
All right, I've actually had a couple. One of the big things I'd say was don't overwork yourself, because I mean with the pandemic, I think it kind of messed with my head a little bit, and that kind of came to bite me on the behind in the second semester when we came back, and I had to take so many classes, and I thought, maybe I should focus on the classes I need to take rather than ones I want to take, and maybe not procrastinate as much, because sometimes with deadlines we all tend to wait a little bit, and then before you know it, it's the day of. I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to hurry, I'm gonna get this presentation ready.
All right, my piece of advice is going to it might sound bad to professors, or they might be a little shocked, but it's not necessarily all about academics. Now, hear me out. Obviously, academics is very, very important. Got to get good grades, got to work hard in the classroom, and especially, working within the studio, whatever you do here in the comm department. But it's also about growing yourself as a person. Have those good times of, do your work, but also enjoy the time you have with your friends. This semester especially, I've been able to sit down and just take it all in and have those memories of just laughing with people when we crack jokes with each other. It's a privilege to have that, first of all, but also just learning to grow as a person throughout your time here at Waynesburg University and discovering yourself and going through all the ups and downs. It's all worth it in the end, I promise. But that's all the time that we have for today on The Buzz. And this is my last show producing here on The Buzz as well, but it is in good hands as Will Wilson is taking over for me next semester, and hopefully the semesters onward and forward. Well, one last time here on The Buzz on WCTV, this is Caleb Yauger signing off one more time.
This has been a production of Waynesburg Community Television.